Next, let's kiki on this interesting story. So a viral video by filmmaker Chris Stanley has everyone gagging and thinking twice before side-eyeing the silver fox at the bar. The clip, lip-synced from Boston drag queen Tara Dikhof's powerful words, calls out nasty little twinks who shade older gays as gross. Tara's message, respect your elders. They survived an epidemic, so you could dance freely under disco lights. The video blew up with praise from queer folks of all ages, with many older gays sharing heartfelt stories from the 80s and beyond. Watch this.
The way gay men talk about older gay men is disgusting. I keep hearing all these little twinks say, oh, there's this gross old guy over there. I don't want to go over there. He grosses me out. Literally, Bob is just sitting at the bar and he's been coming to this bar for 5 decades and all of his friends died in an epidemic and you can't even have a shred of sympathy for him. Because if there's one guarantee in this world, it is that you are going to age. Before you know it, you're going to be in a gay bar and you're going to be over 60 years old. And do you want little baby twinks to treat you like garbage? Next time you see an older queer person at the bar, say hello, buy a drink. Because there is a lot that you could learn from them, you nasty little twink.
Nasty little twinks get schooled by their elders. What are we all talking about? I love her.
I do too. Listen to Mother. She's imparting words of wisdom.
Right. Why do we have to? Why are we like that? I mean, like, you know, we hate ourselves sometimes. You know what I mean? And again, this is not everyone, of course, but you constantly hear the little twink gay boys, right, say things like that about older men. She just blew up their spot, basically. But it happens every day. We're such an ageist culture in LGBTQ.
I think so too. And, you know, so often when a movement self-implodes, the call's coming from inside the house. When we latch on to divisions within our own movement, within our own community, it's toxic to us. It keeps us from unifying against the real external threats and dangers. You know, we have to have so much appreciation for the older generation of the LGBTQ community. I mean, think of how horrible we feel like things are for us right now, the anti-LGBTQ attacks, the potential to roll back marriage equality. The older generation started with absolutely nothing, with no protections whatsoever, where they were literally their family and friends could have them committed to a psychiatric hospital because homosexuality was considered a mental health disorder. And they organized, they had no protection whatsoever. They didn't have the police looking out for them. They didn't have the government looking out for them. They looked out for each other. And it was the lesbian community that took care of gay men who were the biggest victims of the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, isn't that crazy though? Like we forget that's our history. What Ryan is telling us right now, that's the history that they're trying to erase, right? It's still history, and it's actually American history, which really blows your mind, right? But people ask, like, why is the acronym LGBTQ+? And that is why, because during the AIDS pandemic, right? Again, another subdivision that, like, I'm the biggest gay boy. I'm a lesbian. I always hang out with gay boys. This is my life, right? Most lesbians don't have that experience, right? Why don't more gay and lesbian folks? That is my mission, is to connect gay and lesbians because they should be united more. During that time, lesbians were the ones that were on the bedside of the gay men, right? The gay men were shunned by their families. They needed still to fill out paperwork, to figure out end-of-life situations. They had to maneuver this process that wasn't friendly, and they had no help. And lesbians stood up and did that for them, right? With the understanding that in the future, when lesbian needed kids, right, the gay boys would be the ones to help. Something crumbled. Something happened that never happened, and there was such a separation, you know? And now we know our target, we know who's after us, is the time to come together more than ever. Yet there's still separations like this, you know?
Absolutely, and this is also when we can look to our elder generation. And they can provide wisdom and guidance. They can help us learn from the mistakes of the past, learn the lessons that they learned when they were organizing our community, so that we can win these fights. And, you know, bar culture, gay, queer bar culture is a sacred space for us. It's where we were able to gather and be ourselves truly, and sometimes the only times in our lives where we could really be free to be who we actually are. So gay bars need to be a sacred space, and that's why we try to be very intentional about creating opportunities for queer joy, like at Winter Party Festival. because queer joy is an act of protest. It's an act of resilience. The director of conferences and events at the task force, when he talks about Winter Party, he always talks about it in the context of how it started as a reaction to the AIDS epidemic and what people were going through at that time. He would say, we'd get up, we'd bury our friends in the morning, we'd protest in the afternoon, and we'd party all night. The partying was a part of the healing and the resistance that was so necessary to the survival of us as
them.
As people.
Yes. Ryan, you can't. Imagine us just being with our friends like we normally are, and then 2 days later, somebody disappearing and somebody getting sick and then going to all these funerals. We don't know what that's like, and I don't want to fucking know what that's like.
Amen.
All right. Well, this is an important conversation for our LGBTQ plus community. Help us tell these important